What if destiny is not something that happens to you, but something that hesitates before you? This question may sound paradoxical, but it forces us to reconsider one of the oldest human assumptions, that fate is fixed, external, and beyond our participation. We often imagine destiny as a predetermined script, a plan imposed upon us by unseen forces. But what if it's not? Ibn Arabi, the 12th century Andalusian philosopher and metaphysician, taught that the human being is both the reader and the script of destiny. Fate, in his view, does not descend from the heavens as a finished decree. It unfolds through consciousness itself. The question, then, is not whether destiny controls you, but whether it must wait for the level of awareness you embody. In this lecture, we'll explore Ibn Arabi's lost metaphysical code of co-creative consciousness, and how modern neuroscience and psychology quietly confirm its logic. In the modern mind, two opposing beliefs dominate our relationship with fate. On one side is determinism, the belief that everything is fixed by genetics, circumstance, or divine decree. On the other is control, culture, the idea that you can manifest anything simply through willpower and intention. Both positions distort reality. Psychology identifies their emotional effects as learned helplessness and the illusion of control. In the first, individuals surrender to life as victims of fate. In the second, they overestimate their autonomy, believing that effort alone can rewrite the cosmos. Neuroscience adds another layer. The brain operates through predictive coding, constantly constructing internal models of the world to reduce uncertainty. We don't experience reality directly. We experience our brain's predictions about it. This explains why people cling to repetitive behaviors the brain prefers. Predictability to surprise. The result is existential confusion. We oscillate between submission and self-inflation, between fatalism and over-control. Ibn Arabi's metaphysics offers a rational alternative. Destiny is not an external power, but the real's self-disclosure, a field that reorganizes itself in response to consciousness. Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, 1165 sampai 1240, was one of history's most rigorous metaphysical thinkers. Born in Andalusia and educated across the Islamic world, he articulated a comprehensive philosophy known as wadat, the unity of being, contrary to how mysticism is often perceived. His work is not emotional or esoteric in nature, it's systematic and rational. Ibn Arabi treated existence as a single, continuous process through which the real or ultimate reality manifests itself in endless forms. In this view, destiny qadar is not a predetermined plan. It is the unfolding of divine knowledge through the mirror of creation. The human being is not a passive object of fate, but an active lens through which destiny observes and refines itself. He once wrote, "You are the eye through which destiny sees itself." This idea prefigures many modern concepts, from the observer effect in physics, to feedback loops in systems theory, and even to self-fulfilling cognition in psychology. Ibn Arabi's first key insight is what he called continuous creation, Tagdid al-Khalq. Reality is not a completed universe sitting in time. It is an ever-renewing act of being. Every moment, existence is recreated. This has profound implications for how we understand fate. Destiny is not a frozen decree. It's a living feedback system between divine knowing and human consciousness. A helpful analogy comes from quantum physics. Reality can be viewed as a field of probabilities, collapsing into a specific outcome only when observed. Ibn Arabi expressed a similar intuition centuries earlier. The forms follow the measure of the viewer. In cognitive science, predictive processing describes how perception itself is a constant negotiation between the brain's internal models and incoming data. Consciousness doesn't merely receive reality, it helps construct it. For Ibn Arabi, this co-construction is sacred. Awareness refines destiny by altering the framework through which being reveals itself. Thus, destiny fears the one who knows, because knowledge changes the structure of manifestation. Awareness doesn't override fate, it updates it. The second pillar of Ibn Arabi's logic concerns the divine name's qualities such as mercy, justice, knowledge, or power. In his ontology, every being is a mirror reflecting specific divine attributes. But the human being, uniquely, is the comprehensive mirror, capable of reflecting all names. Destiny unfolds according to which names are active in your consciousness at any given moment. You live the pattern of the names you embody. Modern psychology offers an intriguing parallel. Our cognitive and emotional patterns determine what possibilities we perceive and enact. This is known as attentional bias, the tendency to focus on information consistent with our mental state. For example, someone living primarily through the name Al-Kahar, the subduer tends to experience life as conflict and opposition. Every event becomes a challenge to overcome. By contrast, when consciousness resonates with Al-Rahman, the compassionate, perception and behavior align with cooperation and empathy. Neuroscience supports this dynamic. Studies on neuroplasticity show that sustained attention toward positive or pro-social stimuli strengthens neural pathways associated with emotional regulation and well-being. In this sense, destiny's fear arises from unpredictability. When a human being becomes capable of shifting the active divine name, moving from anger to compassion, from fear to understanding, the relational order of reality itself must reconfigure. The script is rewritten from within. Ibn Arabi introduces another layer, the interaction between human will and divine will. He distinguishes between commanded will, the choices you consciously make, and originating will, the cosmic causation underlying all events. These are not competing forces. They coexist as aspects of a single system. The real wills through the human when the individual becomes transparent, enough for the divine intention to pass unfiltered. An analogy can be drawn from music. The divine is the musician, the human, the instrument. The clearer the instrument, free from distortion or egoic noise, the purer the melody that passes through it. Modern neuroscience provides a corresponding model, flow states. When a person is deeply absorbed in a task, the brain's prefrontal regions responsible for self-monitoring and narrative identity temporarily quiet down, a phenomenon called transient hyperfocus. The result is heightened clarity, precision, and effortless action. Ibn Arabi anticipated this. He taught that when awareness reaches this state, destiny and consciousness cease to be separate. The real acts through you. At this point, destiny hesitates, for its expression depends on the clarity of your awareness. The future waits for coherence before it unfolds. Now we reach the paradox behind the title. Why would destiny be afraid of you? In Ibn Arabi's logic, fear belongs only to limitation. When consciousness expands, the mechanical structure of destiny, what you call fixed patterns, trembles. Structure must yield to freedom. Psychologically, this corresponds to the brain's homeostatic resistance, its preference for predictable patterns. Even when change is beneficial, The mind resists it because unpredictability feels unsafe. As awareness grows, the old fated patterns, habitual thoughts, emotional triggers, self-definitions begin to dissolve. This can feel like external resistance, as though life is opposing your progress. In reality, it's the inertia of destiny, the mechanical order of being trying to sustain itself. Ibn Arabi reframed this beautifully. It is not you who fear destiny. It is destiny that fears you. To awaken is to destabilize the unconscious order of the world. The real, through you, challenges its own limitation. It's important to clear a common misconception. Ibn Arabi does not deny causality or human freedom. He redefines them. Causation operates within manifestation, within the physical and psychological systems that structure experience. But consciousness itself belongs to the source that generates those systems. Thus, the awakened person does not change fate through personal force. They change the informational coherence of the system. In modern systems theory, a small shift in feedback, when aligned with the system's deeper logic, can reorient the entire outcome. That is the rational meaning behind destiny fears you. The higher the awareness, the fewer fixed outcomes remain. Uncertainty increases, but suffering decreases, because perception no longer interprets events as punishment or chaos. Philosophically, this replaces control with participation. The mature mind does not seek to dominate fate, but to understand its logic and move in harmony with its unfolding. How can we apply these insights today, within the frameworks of psychology and neuroscience? First, meta-awareness, observing your own mental and emotional patterns without identification. Research shows that meta-awareness decreases emotional reactivity and enhances cognitive flexibility. You become less the product of conditioning and more a participant in awareness. Second, intentional reflection, identifying which name governs your current behavior. Are you acting from compassion, power, fear, or control? This kind of introspection parallels cognitive reappraisal techniques used in emotional regulation therapy. Third, behavioral coherence, acting from understanding rather than compulsion. This practice strengthens executive regulation and reduces reactive decision-making, aligning with studies on mindfulness-based cognitive interventions. Fourth, perceptual humility, recognizing that not all outcomes are personal. Life events may serve as calibrations for consciousness rather than rewards or punishments. In social terms, this approach enhances leadership, creativity, and empathy. When identity aligns with process rather than possession, collaboration replaces competition. Ibn Arabi's teaching of non-reactive participation mirrors modern research on optimal performance and relational intelligence. The practical outcome is measurable: reduced anxiety, improved adaptability, and an increased ability to perceive complexity without collapse. Qualities that define psychological maturity and, in Ibn Arabi's words, spiritual adulthood. Destiny does not dominate consciousness. It manifests through it. The fear of destiny is symbolic. Fixed patterns cannot endure in the presence of fluid awareness. Ibn Arabi's lost code reveals that fate is not a decree written against you, but a language awaiting your fluency. When awareness matures, destiny becomes a dialogue rather than a dictation. Neuroscience confirms this. Through the principle of neuroplasticity, awareness reshapes neural pathways, enabling new patterns of thought, behavior, and perception. Ibn Arabi's philosophy leads to a simple yet transformative insight. The real is not testing you, it is teaching itself through you. Your task is not to overpower destiny, but to understand its logic, for understanding itself is the act that transforms fate into freedom.